Greetings, YouTube family. Today is Saturday, December 28th. Good morning to all my YouTube family members. And today I am going to do words of wisdom on resolving anger and conflict with yourself and others. Um, people, walk around being angry at themselves, but being angry with other people for no reason at all. And harboring anger and resentment and that conflict um, only hurts yourself. Okay. But today I'm going to talk about, how to resolve that anger and conflict. And these are things that I will be putting in some of my transformational life coaching. As I continue to create that curriculum, I will let everyone know when that will be coming online. And but today I just want to ask a question, just kind of an open-ended question to kind of see how, and you can relate it to anything that you've been angry about, that will help you understand why you're feeling that way. So, have you ever felt so angry that it took over your thought process and your actions only to regret it later? How many of us have done that? That you overreacted to something, and then when it's all said and done and when it's all over, you realize you could have acted differently about that situation that would have maybe had a different outcome. That's what we're going to talk about today. Resolving anger and conflict with yourself and with others. So, it is important to address anger and conflict constructively. So, why do we need to address this constructively? Because unresolved anger and poorly managed conflict can lead to damaged relationships, which entails miscommunication or hurtful reactions, and can alliterate others. Also, mental health challenges. So, prolonged anger can lead to anxiety, depression, and chronic stress. And these are things that can be harbored within yourself because you're holding so much anger and resentment and conflict within yourself. Physical health issues. Anger has been linked to high blood pressure, health disease, even weight gain, and stress related issues. So, conversely, addressing anger constructively also allows for personal growth. This is a time to learn to manage anger because it builds emotional intelligence and self awareness, and it helps you control your gifts. So, this is the reason you have to understand and be able to control your anger constructively. When you can control your emotions, you can control your gifts that God has given you. It also builds stronger relationships. So, resolving conflicts is a healthy way to foster trust, understanding, and closeness. So, if you're angry with somebody, most of the time, and a lot of people who are not healed, they'll just harbor that. They won't say anything. They'll just harbor it within. They won't talk about it to the other person. But if this is a person that you love and desire or want to continue having a relationship with, it should be addressed. It should be addressed so that that person understands where you're coming from, and you can also express where you're coming from. A lot of times people are angry with you and they have no clue as to why they're angry with you. Or the other person may not even know that they have these feelings towards you. So it's important to understand these situations so that you can resolve conflict. The importance of personal growth. So, you need to develop emotional intelligence. Okay? And as an example, I'm going to give some examples and then I'm going to give some benefits. So, examples of developing emotional intelligence is, imagine a coworker, and this is just an example. Imagine you have a coworker taking credit for an idea during a meeting. And if you react impulsively with anger, it might damage your reputation or escalate tension within the meeting or with that person, and so forth and so on. But if you pause and calmly address the situation later, you demonstrate emotional maturity and assertiveness. Now, the benefit of this, you grow by learning to regulate your emotions, by improving your ability to handle challenging situations. And with that, you're able to have a better understanding and a better outlook on how this situation may turn out. That person may think that they didn't take your idea. They may not even thought that you thought that. So it's instead of coming at them in an aggressive, angrily way, and maybe in that meeting, you want to diffuse it by coming at it separately outside, where you can pull that person to the side or pull management to the side and speak to them on a professional level, letting them know that this was my idea, um, and this person took my idea and used it as their own, but it needs to be addressed constructively and with emotional intelligence. Okay. Another example is addressing anger and conflict constructively is not just about resolving immediate tensions. It's also about becoming more emotionally resilient. You have to learn to face challenges without being overwhelmed. Most people, when they're facing challenges, they get flustered, they get frustrated, they get overwhelmed, they can't think straight, they don't know what to do. So, fostering and become emotionally resilient helps you understand and calmly be able to understand how to resolve things without being overwhelmed and stressed about it. Okay? Fostering deeper connections also. Healthy conflicts and resolution build stronger bonds with others. So whenever you're able to foster this and you're able to address things in a professional and resilient manner, you'll find that your responses to other people will be different towards you. Also, creating more fulfilling life. So, by addressing anger and conflict head on, you remove emotional barriers that hinder personal and relationship growth. Um, People tend to not want to address anger, they just want to harbor it. And those are people who are vibrating on a low vibrational frequency. When you're in a position where you don't want better for yourself or you want to harbor anger, you're not vibrating in a higher vibrational frequency. Um, and that is what continues to pull your energy down. Okay. So by treating anger and conflict as an opportunity rather than an obstacle, we not only grow individually, but we also create more harmonious and a connected life, not only with your family, friends, co-workers, and peers, but you create a harmonious life with the universe and a more connected life with the universe overall and with humanity. So you want to set the stage. So, setting the stage means anger and conflict are universal experiences. We all here, we're living a human experience. Okay? We are all here, we're all human, but we're living a human experience in this universe. Okay? So while we can be destructive, we can also offer opportunities for growth and understanding and resolution. So today's session will focus on understanding anger, addressing conflict with yourself and others, and practical strategies to resolve both. All right. So what is anger? So anger is a natural emotional response, perceived threats, it's an injustice or an unmet expectation. Anger isn't inherently bad. However, we can manage and channel and transmute it through matters of resolution. Now, what are those resolutions? Active listening, paraphrasing, maintaining eye contact, and avoiding interruptions. When you're in an argument with someone, the one thing that you cannot resolve in an argument is, or come to a resolution, is when both people are talking and screaming at each other. You cannot resolve anything in that manner. So one of the things that we need to do when we're angry with someone is we need to provide active listening. Give that person a chance to talk and don't speak. Allow them to address their issue, why they're angry. Allow them to get those frustrations out. Allow them to present themselves in a way to you that allows you to not only just active listening, but you're really comprehending what they're saying and why they feel the way that they feel. That's the first step. Then the second step that you would want to do is paraphrase what they just told you. So you're saying to me that you're angry with me because I'm now coming forward and I'm now doing what is asked of me to do. You're angry with me about that. Is that correct? Because you want to make sure you have an understanding of what they just told you. You want to make sure you have an understanding and you clarify. That's what paraphrasing is. You want to clarify everything that they just spoke to you about. So is my understanding that you're angry with me because, and say what they just told you. Is that correct? And mainly eye contact. Eye contact means that you have the direct attention of that person. And that person has your undivided attention. And then you want to avoid interrupting the individual that is speaking to you about what it is that they're angry about. Because a lot of times when we're angry, that is the reason for the fussing and the arguing and the back and forth, because nobody's listening. When that person is talking, don't interrupt them. Just sit there. Really listen to what they're saying. Even though things that they're saying may be triggering you, just listen to what they're saying. Take it all in and then paraphrase it back to them. And make sure you have a clear understanding of what it is that they're angry about. The next thing is that you want to create a safe space. So when choosing a correct space, you want to make sure you create the right time and the setting for the conflict resolution. If you're in the mall and you're angry with somebody or angry with your husband, you don't want to start an argument in the middle of the mall and let everybody know what you're talking about and put everybody in your business. That is not the correct way to handle anger and conflict. If you're in conflict with someone, reach out to them. Explain to them why you're in conflict. At the end of the day, everything is about coming to a collective consciousness of love. And if we're not in a space to heal, you're not in a space to present a collective consciousness of love for everyone. And you have to forgive. You have to forgive everyone no matter what they have done. Because forgiveness is really not about them. When you tell somebody, I forgive you, it's not about them. It's about yourself. It's about going within and saying, I'm not going to harbor feelings because of what they did to me. Irregardless, because they know not what they do, I am going to love them unconditionally anyway. And when I do that, that love is going to radiate out into the universe. So you want to create that safe space and that create that setting of for conflict resolution, and avoid discussing sensitive issues when our emotions are running high. Sometimes it's time to take a step back. If you're so angry that you can't actively listen to the person, you can't not interrupt them, you're in a position where you can't um, resolve it with a place of calmness. Sometimes it's time to just take a step back and say, listen, I can't talk about this with you right now. Give me a day, give me 24 hours, give me whatever you need. Let me calm down and have time to think about it. And then let's come back and revisit this issue. That at that point is going to give you time to think about what was said, why you're angry. It's also going to give you time to say, is this even worth being angry about? But also it'll let you address the issue in a more positive fashion so that you're not saying things that you regret. Okay? Then you want to also focus on solutions. Okay? So shift the conversation towards shared goals. If it's something that you're angry about and there's a conflict, the ultimate thing is, how can we get past the conflict and how can we come to a resolution? The ultimate goal is about the resolution and about love. Okay? So brainstorm solutions collaboratively rather than assigning blame. Oh, you did this and I didn't like this because you did this. Okay, how can I resolve this issue with you? How can we balance the situation so that you're not feeling this way, and so that I'm not feeling this way, and so that we can have some flexibility in the balance of whatever the anger and the conflict resolution is. Some things are deep rooted. Some things where people have been traumatized as children, and they've never had a chance to address these things with their families. These are things that need to be resolved. Okay. And then if necessary, it may be even that before you even address a person or something, you may even need to role play to yourself in the mirror to see how you're reacting. Because if a person triggers you so bad, the main thing is to remain calm, even though you're being triggered in your reactions towards that person. So you want to, if you have to, rehearse it in a mirror before you address a person that is going to be of major conflict. Now, the power of forgiveness, that is the ultimate, because people don't like to forgive. No matter what they've done, no matter what someone has done to them, people don't, for whatever reason, don't like to forgive. But when you stay in that space of unforgiveness, you're only hurting yourself. You have to forgive in order to ascend to the next level. You cannot harbor feelings of resentment. You cannot harbor feelings of unforgiveness when someone has done something to you, particularly because it's going to erode your health. It's going to erode your own happiness. You will not be happy like you think you will just because you don't forgive someone. Forgiveness, once again, is not about telling the other person, I forgive you. Is really about forgiving yourself and harboring that feeling within. So holding on to anger harms you more than the other person. Also, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what they did to you. It just means you're releasing the resentment. Now, steps to forgiveness. Recognize that you are hurt. Recognize that they hurt you. They deeply hurt your feelings, um, and whatever else they hurt. Okay? But you got to recognize the hurt and take that hurt within and realize that. And then you got to emphasize with the other person's perspective. Look at what they did, why they did it. Okay? So you always want to put yourself, when you're looking at forgiving someone, you want to always put yourself in their shoes. Look at it from another perspective. Why did they do this? What was their reasoning behind why they did what they did? And then you want to choose to let go of peace of mind. Choose to let it go. For your own peace of mind, you want to choose to let whatever that situation, let it go. Let it go. You're not forgetting what happened, but you're going to just let it go. Let it go. It's not serving you any purpose by harboring that anger and that resentment. It's going to make your health decline. And that can mean anything. People, if you don't, it has been scientifically proven that if you harbor anger in your body, you can actually develop diseases. Diseases which is called dis-ease. It is a dis-ease in the body. And when you have a dis-ease in your body, you become diseased. And that could be cancer, fibromyalgia, which causes extreme pain. It can cause weight gain arbitrarily. You're just gaining weight because you're harboring anger. And depression, anxiety, all of these things are a form of dis-ease. That is really kind of the broken definition of disease. It is a dis-ease in the body. And you create those dis-eases. One, by things that you put in your body, and two, by the anger, resentment, and all of that, not for unforgiveness. All of that creates dis-ease in your body. So forgiveness, holding on to the anger, harms you more than it harms the other person. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to forget what happened, but it also releases you from the dis-ease. Okay? Now, so you want to choose to be at peace in your mind, irregardless of what is happening. Some of the forgiveness exercises that you can do, write a forgiveness letter. Write a forgiveness letter. You don't have to send it to the person, okay? But one of the ways to start forgiving a person is to write yourself a letter as if you're going to give it to them. Write everything down that hurt you, and write everything down as to why you forgive them now. And you don't have to ever send this letter. This is a forgiveness letter between you and God, between you and the universe. And you may never ever talk to this person, okay? But this is for yourself so that you don't create that dis-ease in your body, okay? And then you want to focus on expressing feelings and releasing the grudges. The grudges that you're harboring within, you want to release that. You also want to maintaining peace in the long term, because in order to ascend and create a higher vibration or frequency for yourself, you want to have a daily peace about yourself, where no matter what anybody does to you, no matter what happens, that you don't let it rattle your entire day, okay? There are things that's going to happen to us. We are not perfect beings. There are things that are going to happen to us, And you need to say, okay, God, I don't know what this is about today, but I'm going to put it in your hands. And whatever happens, happens. There's nothing I can do about it at this time. And so when there's something that you personally cannot do anything about, when you've done all that you can do, then you just stand. And God said, be still and know that I am God. God got your back. When you are living right and you know that you're living right, no matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody does, you know that God got your back. And no matter how it looks, at the end of the day, God is going to overcome anything that anybody has ever said about you, that's ever done to you. God always wins. The good always wins. So that is another understanding that you need to bring to your forefront. That is harboring and laboring in peace in the long term. My goal is I want peace. I just want peace. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm always angry, always resenting somebody because they have more or less or whatever. I don't ever want to be in that space. I don't want ever anyone to be in that space about me. But people are not going to everybody's not going to like you. People who don't like me is a reason they don't like me. They don't like me because they don't like themselves, okay? So if you don't like me, I'm the nicest person you ever want to meet. But if you don't like me for some reason, you need to look at yourself, because there's something in me that you wish you could have or understand. And so it's a reflection of yourself. All I'm doing is reflecting a mirror of yourself, of a wish that you wish you harbored, and maybe something that you wish you had. But that's okay. That happens. Everybody is not going to like you. Everybody's not going to like my content. And that is okay. But I am here to raise the elevation of the frequency of the universe. That is one part of my healing process for myself, but also for the collective. I am here to help to raise the frequency. Help people understand that the frequency that we're moving in is not going to harbor envy. It's not going to have anger and resentment in its frequency. The frequency of love that we are moving in, you have to harbor love in your heart. If you are not 51% or more over in having love into your heart, you will not be a part of the high vibrational frequencies of this planet. Please understand that. This is a higher level of consciousness. And for those people that are ready to move into this higher level of consciousness, you will have to vibrate on a higher level of frequency. Okay? So daily practices. Use gratitude. Be grateful for what you have. There are so many people that could be that are worse off than you. They don't have what you have, but be grateful for where you are and what you have. And also know that what you have, you can have more. Everybody has the opportunity to do whatever they desire, whatever their goals are, whatever their gifts are. You have the opportunity, just like everyone else, to tap into your own gifts, to tap into your own frequency, and be able to raise that elevation of frequency of love. So, daily practices that you can do. Gratitude journaling to shift your focus from negative to positive. So start writing down things that you're grateful for in a daily journal. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for the opportunities that God has put before me. I'm grateful for being able to have my own space where I have peace. I'm grateful for my children. Be grateful for what you have and what is coming forth. And sometimes that means doing your journals, making sure that you're journaling daily, which I have been guilty of. I do journal. I journal frequently, and sometimes in my journals, when I go back and look at things that I wrote years ago, I am blown away because the things that I write in my journal come to pass. Interesting enough. And so it blows me away because sometimes when I go back and look at journals that I had 4, 5, 6 years ago, everything that I wrote in my journal came to pass in one way or another. And so it is important to journal because God sometimes speaks to us when we write. So that's why there's scripture says, write the vision and make it plain. So if there's desires and goals that you have, write it down. Write the vision and make it plain. Um, Other things in maintaining peace in the long term, proactivate conflict management. So you want to set boundaries and communicate expectations clearly, whether it be in relationships, um, between a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is. Set boundaries and communicate expectations clearly. Each person, and whether it's even just with friends in general, people need to understand what your boundaries are and what your expectations are. That needs to be clear before anything moves forward. You need to understand that, and you need to address small issues before they escalate. Don't let things that are bothering you continue to bother you and escalate without addressing them with the person head on. Also, building that emotional intelligence, enhance self-awareness, empathy, and interpersonal skills. So you want to invest in personal development, like coaching and workshops. I always am going to some kind of coaching workshop. I remember going to the Millionaire Mind workshop. You want to go to workshops and things that's going to cultivate your personal growth. What is it that I can do that can make me a better person? That can make me a better person so that I can help others. I can help humanity. I can help the collective consciousness to raise their elevation and to raise their frequency. What can I do? And so I really enjoy going to workshops and different coaching classes for personal development. That is one of the main things that I would recommend when you're trying to resolve consciousness, and also counseling. Even if you have to get some transformational counseling, as I build this curriculum, some of the things that I'll be talking with once I do my assessment of the individual, I will have a full assessment. God has given me some different added things that when you're assessing someone, being able to get to the root of what is really causing them their problems and issues and things in their life, and giving them a different perspective on how to look at things, because sometimes people have just been embedded in one perspective and they've only looked at things one way. But when you can show them another way of looking at things or another perspective, it brings about a whole different reality for them. And so being able to open up and look at it a different way and a different perspective will open up their mind and elevate their conscious thinking, and also elevate their frequency. So learning self-awareness, anger often signals deeper issues like unmet needs or past wounds. And that is what I'm talking about getting into the root of what's causing the issue. Just like with medications. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Most of the time when you go to the doctor, your doctor is going to, if you go in, you tell him, I've been having migraine headaches and don't know why I'm having these headaches and things like that. Some doctors will say, okay, well, um, let's schedule an x-ray. Okay, so an x-ray would kind of get to the root of the issue and see if there's any major things going on. Are there any tumors or anything that they need to be concerned about as to why you're having the headaches? um, and so what if the x-ray comes back and there's no tumors, there's no anything like that? There may be just you're having migraines, but you still don't know, they still don't know where the migraines are coming from. Okay? Going into more deeper medical philosophies of um, a lot of times a regular physician, after they've done all the tests and blood work and things like that, what they'll do, they'll prescribe you some medication. Okay? And the medication may or may not help with the migraines. But there's also a deeper rooted cause. There is a dis-ease as to why you may be having that headache that goes deeper than the medical arena. And this can go into your meridian channels. This can go into blockages within your meridian channels. And your regular physician will not get into this with you. Okay? When you have a meridian blockage, it is like a hose that is kinked. If you've ever had a water hose, drank out of a water hose before, and you kink the hose while the water is going through it, you'll notice that the water isn't going through properly. There is no, it's being cut off. Okay? So the same thing is with your meridian channels. You can get blockages in your meridian channels. That is the whole point in getting acupuncture. And when you unblock that, when you are able to unblock that hose, that kink in the hose, and the water can flow through freely, that releases that blockage. So I'm just using this as an example that sometimes the root of an issue may not always be medical. It may be internal, or it may be a blockage within your meridian channels that need to be unblocked. And that is acupuncture stuff that I went to acupuncture school for. I'll get more into that later as I do deep dives into transformational life coaching. But those would be more one-on-one counseling sessions when that curriculum comes together. But I just wanted to use that as an example that anger often signals deeper issues, like unmet needs or past wounds. Another example, if you find yourselves snapping at a loved one because you're angry and that person really hasn't done anything to you, like your children, for example. Sometimes when mothers are angry and you're a single parent and you have a lot of stuff going on and your mind is foggy and you're angry about something else and your children are just there in your presence, you may snap at them for no reason. And it's not their fault. It's just because it's something that's going on with you and within you. So you want to take a moment to reflect. You know, are you angry about the current situation of that child or what's going on? Or is there something unresolved? Is there an unresolved stress from work or anything that's contributing to your reaction to that child? So you want to think about that. So some of the benefits is understanding what your triggers are, helps you respond rather than to react. Your objective is to respond appropriately rather to react at the issue at hand and fostering more personal insight. Okay? So, the importance of relationships. So, building trust and respect. I'm going to give you another example. So during an argument at work, a friend is yelling your name and may create a rift. So, however, approaching the conflict with calm and willingness to listen shows that you value the relationship. Now, the benefit of this is constructive conflict resolution strengthens bonds by demonstrating respect to the other person and also that you care. When you can come to a person and say, I don't like how you did that. I think that was inappropriate and it didn't sit well with me. You need to be able to address those issues without having an attitude and also without the other person giving you an attitude just because you addressed the issue that you were uncomfortable with. So you got to encourage an open communication. So conflict is an opportunity to express your needs and understanding for the perspective of others and others' opinion and others' opinion of you. Okay? So another example, a partner might feel neglected because of their busy schedule. And instead of becoming defensive about you're always working, we don't never have time to spend together, da 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 da, you want to actively listen and acknowledge their feelings. You also want to share your perspective without assigning blame. Um, Especially if you're career focused. I know I'm one of those people that I do work a lot. And so sometimes in relationships, you have to have that balance. You have to have that time to create for each other. You have to have that time to say, okay, if we have to schedule a date night or if we have to schedule some time to spend, like, okay, this time we're cut off from work, we're cut off from our phones. This is our time together. This is the time that we'll spend together. And so we have that understanding, we can communicate so that we can still continue to build our goals, our desires, and everything, but still have a collective relationship where we encourage that open communication with one another. Preventing escalation. So ignoring anger and unresolved conflict can foster and lead to bigger issues. You never want to just ignore yourself, ignore the anger that you're feeling. Always address it, no matter what it is. Address it, but address it intelligently with emotional resilience, so that you can overcome the conflict. I'm gonna give another example. If a colleague consistently interrupts you in meetings and you don't address it, then resentment may build. But if you have a respectful conversation, it might lead to better teamwork. So you might say something like, and you don't want to address it in the meeting, you want to always address it outside of the meeting if necessary, with management involved. Um, but you might address it in a situation like, after the meeting, I would like to speak with you. If you don't mind, take a few moments to speak with you. And then you might address it and say something, when we're having meetings, I would appreciate if, when I'm speaking, that you don't interrupt me. Please allow me to get my thoughts out so that I can make sure I'm getting my points across. And then, of course, if you have something to say, I would appreciate it that, you just don't interrupt me. Is that okay? And then also listen to what that other person says. They may apologize and they may say, oh, I didn't even realize I was doing that. But it's important to address these things. Don't let someone that's doing that you feel like is disrespecting you continue to disrespect you. Address the issue, whether it be in person or in a way that is constructive so that people understand your position. Okay? That is one part of preventing escalation. Also, resolving conflict early. You want to try to resolve conflicts as early as possible, only because it prevents unnecessary tension and ensures smoother interactions with each other. So transforming anger into growth opportunities. You want to learn to compromise. And there is what is called the science of anger. So there's a physiological response to anger, the science of anger. One, there's a flight or flight. It's called fight or flight activation. When you're angry with somebody, you either want to fight them or you want to run away from them. It's kind of no in between, but there is a way to balance that fight or flight. There's a calmness in between, whereas even if you have to take a step back and say, okay, you know what, I ain't gonna get angry with her, I'm not gonna say anything to her, I'm gonna step back and take my position of calm. Okay. And then there's increase in adrenaline and cortisol. When you get angry, your cortisol levels rise in your brain, and it causes you to not think logically. It also causes you to act impulsively. So you may need to balance your cortisol levels. And there are some things that you can do. Sometimes just taking a walk, sometimes peaceful meditation, even yoga. Yoga has a way of lowering your cortisol levels. Meditation can lower your cortisol levels so that when you're angry, but even counting back from, if you got to count back from 20 to 1, when you feel yourself getting so angry, take a deep breath and do a countdown from 20 to 1 to lower your cortisol level and to bring yourself back into balance. That is another way. How unresolved anger impacts physical and mental abilities. Once again, heart attack, heart disease, stress disorders, mental disorders. All of these are part of anger, a part of the emotion of anger. So these are things that that contribute and make your anger. It can make your anger worse, or your anger can make these things happen to your body in the dis-ease phase. So reflection. How can you reflect on things that have made you angry in the past? How can you reflect on this? So you want to think about recent situations where you felt angry and what triggered it. What actually triggered that anger, and how did you respond? And was that response positive for you, or was that a negative response? What were the reactions towards you? Did it get you a good reaction, or did it get you a negative reaction? So you also want to reflect on past angers that you've had, or past situations that where you've been angry. You want to reflect on that to see how that helped you. Okay. Resolving anger within yourself. Once again, acknowledge, accept the emotion without judgment. Journaling, mindfulness, and self-awareness practices can also help. Mindfulness, meaning journaling your thoughts. Journaling, what is another way? Instead of how you're reacting now, think of 3 different ways that you can respond to this situation in a positive fashion. Write down 3 different ways. So that helps to reduce that cortisol in the brain and help to reduce the anger. Okay? Identify your triggers. Analyze patterns in your anger. What triggers you? When you feel yourself being triggered by something, it should create immediate response. You should have an immediate trigger response to your triggers. So if you feel that you're getting angry and you feel that anger rising in you, you need to come up with a mechanism that recognizes the trigger. Okay? Whether it be your countdown. If you know you're feeling yourself getting angry, then you need to do that 20, 19, 18, do the countdown so that by the time, and tell your brain that by the time I get to 5, I will be calm and my anger will have dissipated. When you tell your subconscious mind to do that, it will help you to develop emotional anger intelligence. Okay? Um, so that journaling, mindfulness, and self-awareness practices, those are different practices and things that you can do to analyze your patterns in your anger and to also help with the reactions to your anger. Um, and you also want to ask yourself, is my reaction proportional to the situation? Does it even make sense? Am I overreacting? Is my reaction proportional to the situation at hand? Is what I'm angry about even that serious? Is it that serious? Is it really that serious? That's what you're not. And am I projecting past experiences into my present? Why am I angry about this? And am I projecting something from a past experience that needed to be healed? So ask yourself those questions also as you go through that mindfulness of releasing that anger moment. You also want to practice emotional regulation, and that could be breathing exercises. That could be deep breathing to calm the nervous system down and also to reduce those cortisol levels. Mindfulness, meditation, staying present to reduce overthinking. You want to stay present. Stop overthinking. Sometimes we can overthink things and we're thinking stuff into existence. Believe it or not, you are your own creator. And what you think about, you bring about. So, changing your perspective in the situation about that situation. If you're thinking negatively, that is what you're bringing into your existence. If you're thinking positively about it, that is also what you're bringing into your existence. So understand that what you think about, you also bring about. Okay? Reframe your thoughts. Shift from why is this happening to me to what can I learn from this? It's all about perspective. What can I learn from this situation? And focus on solutions rather than dwelling on the problem. What is the solution? I don't want to look at the problem at hand, but how can I resolve it? I want to immediately go to the resolution. I don't want to continue harboring on the problem or the issue or the why is this happening. No. Okay, so this is what's going on. Let's immediately go to the resolution. How can we get this resolved quickly, swiftly, and immediately? I want this to be resolved. And whatever it takes, even if you have to write those things down, what are the things that I can do to help resolve this situation? What can I do in my present moment right now? What can I do to resolve this situation? And then interactive activities could lead to participation through guided deep breathing exercises. Once again, just taking a deep breath. Okay. Um, and then you also want to create a space where you can release emotions and reactions in your own sacred space. Okay? If you're a person that has to speak out loud or have to do things out loud so that you don't harbor those things inside, it's okay to release it, but release it in a safe space where it's not reactive to other people or it's not disrupting other people's existence in the collective consciousness. Be able to do that. Meditation is good because you can release thoughts in meditation and release it to the universe in a way that is releasing it and it's not harboring within, but you also create that sense of calm and that sense of peace within yourself. So that is another way. So addressing the conflicts with others, key points, you want to understand the nature of the conflict. So conflicts arises when expectations differ. Um, you may expect one thing and they expect something else, but there's a difference in expectations. And that's where conflicts kind of starts. Also, it's about winning and finding common ground. So when you're in conflict, it shouldn't be about winning all the time. It should be about finding balance, finding a common ground, finding harmony, finding peace, all of that, finding love. All of that is a reflection of common ground. You should always make it a win-win situation where not only does the other person feel like they have walked away with something good, but you also feel that way as well. So when you deal with common ground, everybody feels like they've won. There's not just a one-sided situation, or I win and you lose. No, there's never a lose in anything, because there's never really a loss. There's never really failure. You can fail at anything, but also know that in those failures is the advantage. In failures, there's advantage, because in failures, you learn. You learn skills that maybe other people's have not. And so in those failures, you're able to progress further, because you take those experiences of failure and you use them to your advantage. Okay? So failure is never a failure. Failure is a learning experience. It is a advantage. So winning is not always good. Yeah, you win for the moment, but that person who failed may win the next time. So there's never really a failure. I don't look at failure as failure. I look at it as progressing to the next stage and to learn from that experience. So effective communication. I statements to express feelings without blame. You want to always, when you are trying to communicate with someone, you want to tell them how you feel. I feel hurt when my ideas are dismissed. I feel hurt when you don't listen to me. I feel, you want to always address it as I, because the hurt is coming from within, and within is the you, is the I within you, just like I am source. So if I am source and I am hurt, then I have to address it with an I statement. That is part of effective communication. You want to address what is it that you are hurt about. Instead of saying, you never listen to me, you want to say I, because it addresses the you. Okay? Other key takeaways. So knowing that anger is a signal, not a solution. It's a signal that something is going on within you that you need to address. And why are you triggered? Resolving a conflict requires understanding effective communication and forgiveness. It also brings self-awareness and emotional regulation for foundational and lasting peace. Okay? Some final thoughts. Anger and conflict are opportunities to grow and connect by addressing them with empathy and intention. We can transform challenges into powerful moments of change to move into higher vibrations of ascension. You also want to have that open floor for questions. So you want to encourage yourself and others to share their thoughts. You want people to ask questions about strategies for discussion. You want to be able to, when you're angry or you're angry, you want to ask for suggestions. You may have a close friend or someone that you trust, and you can say, okay, here's a situation. How would you handle this? If somebody came to you and said this, and this, and it made you angry, how would you handle this? And see what their perspective is. So get people that you trust. Get people that are in good vibrations. Get people that's going to give you sound, concise knowledge, and not just going to tell you anything. And also, they're going to give you a positive spin on it versus a negative. Oh, girl, I would have knocked her out. No, you don't. That's not the constructive answer that you're looking for. You want to know, how would you have handled this if this would have happened to you? How would you constructively communicated this with this person and look for the most positive outcome? So get those other perspectives. Sometimes you need to bounce things off of other people in a constructive manner so that you are radiating a positive vibration and a positive frequency rather than a negative vibration and a negative frequency. So, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this words of wisdom. So I want to thank everyone for tuning into my channel, and I want to remind you that resolving anger and conflict is a journey. It's not about perfection, but it is about progress. So I encourage everyone to take what they've learned in the past and apply it to your daily lives today, because anger and conflict can be resolved easily. It's about perspective. It's about raising your frequency. It's about raising your vibration. It's also about not harboring that envy and resentment. But ultimately, it is about love. Love everyone. No matter what they've done to you, you've got to forgive. And you do that in your own time and in your own journey. But the sooner you do it, the sooner you will not create dis-ease in your body. Welcome. Thank you, YouTube. I want to thank you, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.